hypothetical is your next segue.
I don't miss nice girl. All
We're
right,
gonna
hypothetical,
talk
right
about,
on.
well, more EU stuff, because that's what I love talking about. We're talking about our first story is, here it is. EU leaders are endorsing a plan to ensure that Europe can defend itself by 2030. Of course, I'm sure places like Poland wish defend ourselves by 2025.
Yeah, Poland needs to
Well,
start
hopefully
themselves
not,
a big
right?
old
Hopefully
border army.
Yeah, hopefully we don't need it until never. That's the idea, right? Peace forever. This is from Lauren Cook on AP News coming out of Brussels. European Union leaders yesterday on the 23rd of October endorsed a plan to ensure that Europe can defend itself against an outside attack by the end of the decade as the concerns mount that Russia is already probing the 27-nation bloc's defenses with all those drone flights and the, submarine off the coast of France that's totally supposed to be there. It was in this charter. Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine and its repercussions for Europe in global security is a changing environment constitutes an existential challenge, the leader said in a statement during the summit in Brussels. They called on national governments to advance on concrete projects to be launched in the first half of 26, in line with the new plan dubbed Readiness 2030, which was drawn up by European Commission, the EU's executive branch. A top priority will be to erect drone defenses to detect, track, and disable rogue drones following a series of troubling airspace violations across Europe over the last month, some close to European borders with Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine. This European Drone Defense Initiative would be a key part of a broader scheme dubbed Eastern Flank Watch to strengthen defenses along Europe's eastern border on land, in the Baltic and Black Seas, and in the air, as well as against hybrid attacks. The leader said that to respond to the measure's most immediate needs and threats, to respond to the most immediate needs and threats, the first project should focus on building anti-drone and air defense capabilities, make full use of EU funds to do so. The Commission estimates that EU defense spending this year will total around 392 billion euros or $457 billion. Reminder that there's 10 trillion in the US military complex, something like that.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Almost double the amount of 4 years ago. I mean, at least they're increasing their budget to it, but yeah. I'm just saying, not that EU should be leveling itself against the US military complex, but they could. It's the same population, it's the same land area, the EU or Europe in general and the US. A lot of people like to think that, Europe is really small, but it has the same amount of possibilities. If people are your economy, right? If how you make money is through people, Europe and the United States have the same amount of people living in them, right? It's just all separated in different countries, but Europe has the same amount of people as the United States. There's no excuse for them not to be able to reach a similar height to the U.S. when it comes to
not only that, but the United States is full of Europeans, so there you go.
Believe that some 3.4 trillion euros or $4 trillion will probably be spent on defense over the next decade. To help, it intends to propose boosting the EU's long-term budget for defense and space to 131 billion euros or $153 billion. The overarching aim of the Readiness 2030 plan is to encourage the member countries to decide who among them should take the lead on which projects, and then launch them with the first 6 months of next year. So, you know what? Germany makes good tanks. They can make the tanks, and Sweden makes some great jets, so they can make the jets, that kind of stuff. And as we've learned previously, France makes a lot of great pieces of bigger machines. So, France can make, a lot of the smaller pieces that go into the bigger machine, that kind of stuff.
Tanks. Thanks a lot, Germany. Thanks a lot.
At least 40% of military purchases who have been done jointly, making them cheaper and encouraging countries to use interoperable weapons and standards by late 2027. So we've all European things work on the same standard. So easier to make them all right at the same standard, at a good standard, I hope. at a reliable standard. If all our guns are the same, or if all our tanks are the same, they use all the same parts. That means that if my, British tank breaks down in Poland, they know how to fix it. They don't need to freaking import somebody from the UK to fix the tank, okay?
Yeah.
They all know they can do that stuff. Project contracts and financing are on critical capabilities. Drones or satellites, for example, would need to be settled by the end of 28, with the whole process finalized later. Another key part of the plan is to provide security guarantees for Ukraine. Mm-hmm. The leaders underlined the importance of close cooperation with Ukraine and of its integration with and contribution to the European defense industry. Because I know a lot of people probably didn't know a lot about Ukraine other than Chernobyl before the war broke out, but they were always a strong military complex. Before then, that's why they've been able to hold their ground against Russia for so long, because they're not pushovers. So it's very important that they not only save Ukraine from being completely conquered by Russia, but also get them into their military complex themselves, so they can have a stronger Europe against whoever wants to fuck with them by 2030.
Yeah, waiting for the next Soviet land grab. I mean, it is really the old Soviet Union.
Don't wait for it. They're getting prepared for it. They're expecting it, which I'm happy with, because even if it never happens, it's better to be prepared.
Yeah, Vladimir Putin never ended the Cold War. He's always been fighting it. And the hot war, too, right? I guess hypothetically...
yeah, he's doing a hot war right now. That's the story if you have a hyperbole. Sorry,
hypothetical.
Not
hypothetically, the United States, if all these countries spent as much in the United States as funding ICE agents, they would be doing just fine. Because the United States, the ICE agency has a bigger budget than any military in the world, except maybe China, right?
It's not military, it's just thugs. It's the worst part.
I'm just saying, they have a bigger budget than any military except American military. ICE does. They're just fighting them. They're just
like I said, they're just thugs. They're paying thugs to beat up people in the street, and they get paid more than any military. Yeah.
They're hiring people with no experience. They're not hiring people with no experience, no training, giving them not guns, but they're giving them tasers and clubs and masks, of course, masks, and badges to go arrest people who are doing nothing right. So, yeah. Well, it'd be nice if we spent our budget on actual things. Yeah. We spent our budget on actual things to help people.
Speaking of...
Anyway, sorry.